That's James's meal for today, and I'm having mint tea or mint infusion and some pomelo, and I'm gonna review Escape Plan and all of these other movies here, and I always go best to worst, and this is probably the only time I'll do this, but and James is going to review this, but it's probably the first time and only time I'll ever put a Stallone and Schwarzenegger movie on the top of my stack.
I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked.
But
were the other movies that bad?
Well, some of them were. But I mean, this Woman King is second to the bottom, and it's so bad. It's so bad.
Any name players in it?
Yeah, but it's a stupid movie. And Terminal has lots of good actors in it. There's Simon Pegg and Mike Myers was in it.
Mike Myers, and it's not good?
It's the bottom of the stack.
Oh my God, Mike Myers is so. How can you blow it with him?
Yeah.
He's close to the best comic actor of his generation. Jeez.
But this movie, Escape Plan, I mean, you're not going to expect Schwarzenegger and Stallone to do an awesome job. But they did what you expected them to do, and they were used well in the movie. There's when you pick up a Stallone and Schwarzenegger movie, you expect a lot of action. They deliver it.
You expect great action, not great acting.
It worked out.
I thought you were saying this is a great acting movie when you first went out.
No, but there's enough here that if you're a woman who your man in your life does not want you to put them through watching the Princess Diaries and stuff like that anymore, this is something you can enjoy, and they will certainly enjoy too. So, top of the stack. The Escape Artist, David Tennant. Oh, I love him. So
I thought that was it.
Yeah. So this good job. I was very happy with the movie. Well, it's like a mini-series.
What's it about?
Well, it's about a lawyer who defends somebody. I mean, they have to give, if they're defending people, even if they think people are guilty, you gotta defend them to the best of your abilities. And
that's right. So they had all sorts of people wearing these weird wigs, old-fashioned wigs, including the women.
It is
just
funny.
hilarious.
But anyway, it ends up interesting. And not so happy an ending, but okay, you're left in the end. I can live with that. So the silencing, this was a lot better than I thought it would be. A lot of action and a lot of twists. Surprisingly good. Shattered. Well, I never really expect much from Malkovich. I know he's, a lot of people really think he's awesome stuff. I don't know. I never seem to.
Being John Malkovich. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
But I guess he was playing himself the way he always does.
So anyway, this movie ended up a lot better than I thought it would be. I didn't think it would be good at all, but there's a lot of action, and there's a lot of believable action in it.
Now that's unusual.
Yeah.
I mean, the action in the Schwarzenegger.
I mean,
movie was pretty unbelievable.
Yeah. Strange Angel. This, you would think that this would be on the top of my stack, and it's really good. But it's a TV series, and it's
Oh, that one.
Yeah. It's a really interesting historical sort of drama, would you call it that? I don't know.
I'd call
There's
it a
some-
mockumentary or something like that.
Yeah, it's there's some interesting things in here, like the maybe hallucinations that he has, or brainstorm ideas, or whatever that the main character has in this. You're thinking, okay, well, he has been taking things like absinthe and peyote and stuff, but he's not always tripping when he's on the stuff. Like, or when he's tripping, he's not always on the stuff. So what's going on with that, right? It gets you thinking. Is there something behind his spiritualism, or whatever? What's going on with it? It's interesting.
Anyway, it's about science and technology.
It is. I should tell you, yeah. It's about what he wants to do is get a rocket to the moon. So that's his motivation. And so it's about scientists who are rocket scientists. Rocket scientists.
And it's the lead up to World War II.
Yeah.
I guess it goes into World War II.
Freaky. And this is kind of, if you've ever watched, I think it was called Freaky Friday, with what's her name from the Halloween movies and stuff. What's her name? Can't remember. But it's sort of like that, and
Oh, you mean from
kind
way
of fun.
back when?
Yeah.
Jamie Curtis?
Yeah. It's like that. Like she had there was a movie, I think it was called Freaky Friday, and so I think that's why this is called Freaky. So it's kind of along those same lines, and kind of fun if you
Like that.
if you like kind of horror movies that are a bit silly or whatever.
Those are the only ones I've really liked.
Yeah. Lyle, Crocodile. So this is a kids movie, and there's a lot of singing songs, and a lot of the songs kids might actually want to sing along to. There may be a little like they might need some help with, the parents might need to help them with the lyrics or something, because they're not a little mature for what the subject matter is, I think, maybe, or whatever. I don't know. I don't remember any of the songs, and I should, right? Because when you get done a kids movie, you should be humming along. But it'd take a few times for you to remember the songs, to sing them, or even the tunes. So I don't know. I don't know if they completely pulled it off that way, right? But still, I think every kid would enjoy watching this. And kids watch movies over and over and over and over, so eventually they will learn the songs, and I think they like that. So it's actually worth watching. Keanu Reeves Replicas. Yeah, not so good. Now we're getting down to the stuff that I don't know that anybody should watch this.
Is it an action thriller or something?
Well, he's a scientist who is trying to put, yeah, it really is. And I think that's really the main problem, is Keanu Reeves in the story. I don't want to give the story away. You might watch it. 3 Wishes for Cinderella. Now this one's dubbed, and I guess it's from Sweden or something. Norwegian. Okay. So anyway, I really didn't. I think it's interesting to have Ella sort of know the prince a little bit before they decide, oh yeah, we're in love. You know, Cinderella has never been a story that even as a child, I was like, no, that's not that's not a fairy tale ending for a princess. Sure, she gets to be a princess, but I guess better than being a servant for her awful stepmother. But
sisters.
Honestly, yeah, I don't know. I've never thought that Cinderella was a romantic story or anything like that, and so they've made it a little bit more romantic, I guess, but it wasn't that good. And why would she be wearing little glass slippers in like icy, snowy Norway? And it didn't work. It didn't work for me. and but Cinderella doesn't work for me. So The Woman King, terrible. This is not a good movie. They're advertising it as based on true events.
Oh my God.
And they were saying somewhere on this, I read something about, the gladiator of our time. There you go. And so there's a lot of fighting, stuff like that. If you're into that, whatever. I am not into that. And the top of my stack, there was a lot of fighting in Stallone and whatever. But honestly, that story was more believable than this story, based on true events.
I'll talk about that after if you
Yeah.
want to.
It's long. Both movies were long. This one near the bottom of the stack, 2 hours 15 minutes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, way too, and it felt long. This one at the top of the stack was about the same, 115 minutes. So
that's
it was a long movie, and it did not feel long. The action was there. It was really well planned out, so that it fell into a sequence that you're like, yeah, there needs to be some action right now, and there it was. They did a great job. It was
not too much conversation from two guys that are really.
But there was enough that there was a story.
Oh,
and
I know.
They even had them working together most of the time. You know how you have two bad actors on the screen, and you're like, oh boy, this is gonna. I don't know who directed that, but wow, good job.
Pulled it off.
How do you pull it off with the two of them on the screen together almost all the time?
So I don't know, was it Terminator, where Schwarzenegger only said maybe one line or something like that? Someone comes to the door or whatever, and he goes, fuck off, asshole. In this one, it's after they blow up a ship or something like that.
Yeah.
He says, have a nice day, asshole. His pronunciation is much better.
I don't know if we're allowed to swear on YouTube.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, I don't know if we are. We're going to find out. Anyway, Terminal. Bottom of the stack. So bad. Not believable at all. Not even very interesting. Around 20 minutes into the movie, I'm like, nothing's happened. I just want to turn it off. Really? With that many good actors. What did you do wrong?
So I'll just talk about this.
Oh, you want to take that out. Okay. So you go ahead, I'll drink my tea.
They were actually fighting off European slave traders, is that what?
Yeah, there was slavers from Europe that they were,
Newsflash. European, no, they weren't settler colonialists, but imperialists, shut down the slave trade. I'm part African American, okay? I don't like lies about the whole thing. Now, let's talk about how many slaves Europeans took out of Africa. They didn't take out, they traded for them. And it was something like 11 million. That's scandalous. How many Muslims, did the Muslims take out? 15 million. Oh, I've had people just contest that, right? They want to have a conversation about that. Oh, yeah, don't go that route with me. Because when you start doing that, I've set a bargaining position. And what I'll say is, okay, it's not 15 million, it's 20 million. And it's based on a guy with the name of Al Gabri. And that's not a name like Al Bundy, okay? Al Gabri says it's 20 million. I'm going to go with 15 million. More than the Europeans did. They were doing it longer. And, they're still doing it. They're still adding to the total. Huh? Now, up until Quinny, like Europeans, Caucasian, include Arab and Persians, They couldn't go stumbling off into the middle of Africa and enslaving people. They were just at the end, like in a place called Zanzibar. Look at that up in your Funk and Wagnall atlases, Times atlases, or whatever. Zanzibar, another place, Pemba. They're islands off of present-day East Africa, well, Tanzania. I think Pemba is off the mainland of Tanzania or Tanzania. And they had a foothold on the, not European, Dar es Salaam, House of Peace. It wasn't about peace. It was about being the end of the line for the slave trade. So what would happen is the Arabs, Muslims in general, would be there. Dar es Salaam is Arabic, incidentally, in case you folks don't know. A lot of you folks don't. There's indigenous slavers, African slavers, bringing in their fellow Africans. The biggest slavers of all, especially percentage-wise, were the Africans. Not all of them, but a huge number. 11 million that the Europeans took out, the 15 million that the Arabs took out, almost all of them would have been delivered to the Europeans and the Muslims by Africans. The biggest slavers of all, involved in the slave trade. I don't know if they held many slaves of their own, but the biggest traders of all were Africans. So when you've got lies like this happening based on true events, no, the Europeans closed down the slave trade. They were involved with it for a long time and deeply, but eventually they closed it down. They're the ones who closed it down. They closed it down. The Muslims were fighting against it and stuff like that. I'm afraid the true story hasn't been told about whether the Europeans had to do much fighting against Africans involved in the slave trade, non-Muslim Africans. So don't hand me this kind of garbage. There's way too much demonizing people of non-color or people of off-color and stuff like that. We'll talk a little bit more about what's up with on the indigenous reserves later on. It was interesting. I knew it would be like this. This autumn, we drove by an indigenous grave site, the cemetery. I didn't see one stone. I saw wooden crosses. And as I recall, they were white. I don't know if the paint would be kept up on those wooden crosses. The paint isn't kept up on wood. What happens to wood? It degenerates. And once it degenerates, you have an unmarked grave. You think about it. You think about it a little bit more. And think about why I knew I would see that. Even before I did. You think about it. You think about who put in the unmarked graves. They weren't unmarked originally. You think about who put them in, and who's responsible for them being unmarked in the long run. I knew I'd see that, and my suspicion is it's everywhere. Up until recently, I think there's funding now for obituaries in the newspaper. I hope maybe for coffins, for headstones and things like that. I don't know whether that always applied. I don't know if it did, whether it was actually went to what it was intended for. Here's some money to buy a headstone. Well, okay. There'd be a certain number of people that would, yeah. So you just think about that. Think about that. Do a little bit of thinking instead of yipping and yapping and jumping to conclusions. Because I'm getting tired. I am getting tired of people inventing stories about how bad white people are. There's some nasty white people like Adolf Hitler, and there's some not so nasty people like William Wilberforce. Look that up in a little encyclopedia, if you will. Hopefully you've heard of Adolf Hitler. Not so sure about William Wilberforce. Or David Livingstone. The town I was born in Africa was named after him. Livingstone. Now Zambia, I think they still call it Livingstone. Okay, so how much time have we got? Lots of time. Peter, bam! Bam. I should say bam, just so you don't misunderstand it. But die unsichtbare Flagge. Now, I'm not sure. Germans, it's not like English. You tend to say on and then an accent. But sometimes they will accent it, so it might be unsichtbar. And if I've said it wrong, I'm going to say unsichtbar. If I said it wrong, I'll apologize to our German listeners. All I can say is I'm trying. There's only so much I can do. And ein Bericht, a report. So I believe unsichtbare would be something like invisible. The invisible flag. And it's about a doctor. Well, this guy, Peter Baum, I believe was a... he wrote other stuff as well. And... but he was a surgeon during World War II for the German army. Yeesh. And so he maintains that he and his buddies in the medical professional working to save German soldiers so they could keep on fighting, stuff like that. They were operating under a different flag, an invisible flag, as it were. That they really didn't have any loyalty to Hitler. Now, I think he was born in 1897. So I'm not sure if he was, at least initially, would have been draft material. He would have been something like when the war broke out, 39. He would have been 42 years old, and he served in the Soviet Union. The one map in here shows a place that's subject of much contention nowadays. Krim, that's Crimea, and Nogaisha Steppe. I think that they'd call that a Nogai Steppe. So this is the southern part of the Ukraine. Azovsky Mare, that's the Sea of Azov. Look that up in your little atlas and stuff like that. This would be the Gulf of Taganrog. Rog, I think, means horn in Russian. And there's the place, Taganrog. Taganrog, I'm not sure where the accent comes. Stalino, that wouldn't be the name anymore, unless Putin's changed it back. I think that'd be part of the Melitopol. This has been in the news recently. So they were messing around. Crimea has been theoretically annexed by, well, more than theoretically, by the Soviet Union Mark II or the Russian Empire Mark III under Putin. So there's not a lot of fighting right now, not yet. I hope that the Ukrainians are able to take that up. Here's the Dnieper River. Anyway, lots of fighting in here. I think they made it all the way across into across these straits here. And I believe they made it pretty close to Krasnodar. I think that means eat red gift or something like that. So Schwarzes Meer, that's the Black Sea. Swarthy Mare or something like that. To use some cognates in English and so on and so forth. And you know, like when by the time they invaded the Soviet Union, the Germans did, this fellow serving under the invisible flag would have been, let me see, yeah, like 44 years old. I don't know if he was really draft age or something like that. Eventually, I suppose he would have got drafted into maybe home defense or something like that when Adolf Hitler's chickens came home to roost and stuff like that, and the old geezer would have to defend the homeland. I think he could have just a doctor. You have to be serving people in the homeland in Germany, eventually there would have been bombing and all this sort of stuff. But no, this guy had to be out there patching the troops up. Now there'd be lots of guys who'd lose a leg. It'd be absolutely useless for fighting or whatever. But he was helping soldiers get on their legs again. They still had them, and get out there and fight the Russians. So he was helping extend the war. He's trying to present himself as this hero, almost like superhero, and I'm not buying them. I have to be. To be fair, I really should check and see how deeply they were going into more elderly type of guys. I wouldn't call them aged or anything like that when they stumped into the Soviet Union. But so I'm a little bit skeptical about his claims and stuff like that. He does give a pretty good account of what's happening. He does describe German atrocities against Jews. They knew, the soldiers did, what I guess it would be the SS and stuff like that. What do they call them? Einsatzgruppe or something like that. Anyway, they knew they'd take the Jews off, and they knew what was going to happen to those Jews. They'd just get wiped out and stuff like that. So they saw the Holocaust happening. They didn't do anything. There are all sorts of German soldiers seeing this sort of stuff on the Eastern Front, and they did nothing. They just kept on going, extending the spread of this cancer, Nazism, into Germany, and allowing more and more people to be Holocausted and stuff like that. Absolutely shameful. So he's trying to, he should have just maintained a judicious silence and not really talked about it, or else he should have been way more
critical,
self-critical.
Yeah,
comes out being a little bit hypocritical. So it's gripping reading, I gotta say. There's all sorts of people, it's like reading. It's like reading something like MASH or something like that. It's based on real life, no?
Now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Now, the main problem I have